texted me to say that he was surrounded by all these goalies who didn't really do the work during lockdown, and now they were tweaking their groins all over the place after getting back on the ice after 18 months of not playing. And we all know what that means exactly, don't we? Means Kevin tweaked his groin, doesn't it? Don't worry, I got the answer for you. Here from goalietrainingpro.com. Great to meet you. If we haven't met before, I am an exercise physiologist. I specialize in off-ice training for hockey goalies, basically helping you win more games with fewer injuries, regardless of your age or level. So what Kevin and I were talking about, what he asked for was, hey, what's a really quick training program that will help prevent this from happening, that will help prevent these groin tweaks from happening? Something we can do right now because everybody wants to play. And although that's a great idea, it isn't really asking the right question. So it's a little bit like that question, when's the best time to plant a tree? The best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. But the second best time to plant a tree is today. So we can't make up for training that you didn't do during the lockdown. And you know, we take it for granted when we're out on the ice and playing a lot. You know, we think that's just how our body moves and works, but it doesn't. Our body moves and works that way because we're repeatedly, you know, giving it those signals, giving it that stimulus, and it's adapting. So when we take 8 months, 18 months away from the ice, our body's like, oh, I'm going to go back to being normal person. And so we don't have those ranges of motion. So maybe later on I'll come back and you guys let the boys know if you want me to do it with some sort of off-ice training for beer league aged goalies. But I think for today, we're going to dial in on, okay, what's something that we can do right now to reduce the risk of tweaking your groin out on the ice? And that is having the best warm-up. And I'm not talking about the on-ice warm-up that we all get where we go out there and we do a couple groin stretches, then we get in the net, and then our team rifles slappers right at our head. And usually like a couple guys are taking a clapper at the same time for whatever reason. That's not really the warm-up I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about an off-ice warm-up. And I'm going to keep it super short. So is this everything that, you know, if you were an NHL goalie, everything you would do? No, but I also know you guys well enough to know you'd be like, well, I don't have time and we only get 15 minutes in the rink and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to keep it as short and as sweet as I possibly can. Let's go. Now, I know that Kevin loves his foam roller. I know that he has multiple foam rollers for just, you know, like he shows up with a case and it's got all the different foam rollers. But today we're going to use the lacrosse ball. Why? Well, number one, because it's this big. But number two, it's this big, which means I feel it can get in deeper and get a little more into that tissue. A foam roller, I think, is really great if you're brand new to self-myofascial release. Totally start with a foam roller. If you are used to doing self-myofascial release, use it in your restorative module. So that's your routine that you do when you come off the ice to help kind of reset your body. And that could actually be another video down the road. But we want to kind of get in there. We don't want to feel like we're getting a massage with oven mitts on. We're going to get to work. So we're going to use the lacrosse ball on the hip flexor, and we're just going for like the rectus femoris hip flexor, the big bulk of muscle that you feel right here in the front of your hip. If you're not sure where, put your thumb across, lift your leg straight up, and you'll feel it. It feels like a rope or a cable. So we're going to get on there, and we're going to just really massage it. So we're not going to zip around, you know, on it like this. We're just going to hunt around. If we find a trigger point, we'll hang out on that trigger point until it sort of melts away, and then we'll hunt around again. Part of what we're doing is just exploring that muscle. Hey, does this feel the same as normal? Once you've done this a few times, you'll get used to it. Oh, this feels like it normally feels. Or, wow, this feels a lot tighter than normal, or a lot more trigger pointy than normal. And then you know to spend a little extra time on it. 30 seconds on each side. From there, we're going to get the lacrosse ball on the TFL or on part of the TFL. This can be a little trickier to find, but I think the best way to find it is just put your hand on the outside of your hip and then rotate your leg in and out. And you'll feel kind of like a golf ball prominence that comes, there it is, there it goes, there it is, there it goes. You'll feel it kind of passing by underneath your hand. Put your finger on that and then come about an inch up and an inch up again. So an inch toward you and an inch toward your hip. And that's where you're going to put the ball. You should sort of feel like almost a little like soft spot in there. If you haven't done this before, you will probably get what we call the positive jaw drop sign, which is people do it and they find it the first time and they go, because it hurts. So we're not really going to roll around on this other than just to say like, hey, am I kind of in the right spot? But otherwise, we're just going to tack it down, give it some pressure, and help it kind of, if there's some knots in there, help those release a little bit. So again, 30 seconds on each side. So far, we're up to 2 minutes. Then we're going to get the glute, but not the middle part of the glute that most of you get, not the part that you sit on. We're going to recline it back a little bit and get the upper part of the glute, really where it kind of attaches to the pelvis, the upper part of the pelvis. And just a nice, gentle massage, just exploring all that area of the muscle. Again, if you find a trigger point, you can just sit on that for a little bit until it feels like it melts away, and then keep going. 30 seconds on each side. Do you see a trend here? Now we're getting into some more dynamic movement patterns. So we're going to get in this half groin, keeping a nice neutral back, and we're just going to rock back. So you'll get an appreciation of how that changes the stretch when you rock back. But again, don't round your back as you sit back. Keep it nice and neutral. And you'll do about 5 to 6 on each side, just holding for, like 2 or 3 seconds at that bottom position. Then staying in that position, we're going to do a half groin T-spine rotation. So we're going to integrate kind of the adductors and the abdominal obliques to open up some of your thoracic spine. So my hand goes to my ear, elbow to elbow, rotating up and away. And a little pause at the top. We'll do 3 that way. We'll do 3 this way. And then we'll switch legs. Then staying in that half kneeling groin, we're going to come upright. Definitely a more functional position for a goalie. Well, this is pretty functional for me. Lots of times I seem to end up that way, but let's just say for most of you. And then we're going to add some rotation. So if you are a little off like me and you when a goalie gets injured in the NHL, you watch the replays to try to figure out, okay, what were the biomechanics of that? How did that injury happen? What was the muscle chain involved? A lot of times it's an extended position with a reach of some sort. So that reach is adding length to the chain, and really the weakest area of that chain is getting injured. So we're going to add that reach and rotation. So I'm just coming here to like my toe, and then I'm rotating up and away, following my hand with my head, reaching my toe, rotating up and away. It depends on your mobility. So you might start, reaching to your mid shin, and then kind of gradually work your way down to your toe. Start with what you're really comfortable with. I like this too, because again, it's another measuring stick. Today I feel great just starting off reaching for my toe. Some days, I do have to start reaching at my mid shin, and then I know, ooh, that's a little tight today. I'm going to give it a little extra attention. So I would do about 4 to 6 on this side, 4 to 6 on the other side. And we can't go wrong throwing in the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to come into it, and you can do it stationary. You don't need space to roam. So I'll just step back with my right leg, keeping that knee extended. That's important. I don't want it bent like this. I'm going to drop my elbow down towards my instep, keeping this knee extended. I can even rotate up and away to get a little more thoracic spine rotation. Now my hand comes to the outside. I'm going to rock back as far as I can. I'm going to feel a nice stretch here. Some of you, just getting to here is going to feel like, whoa, those hamstrings feel tight. So just go with what you can. That's another good measuring stick that I always use. Can I get fully straight and feel comfortable? Okay, then I'm good to go. If I get there and I'm like, ooh, that's really tight, I know it needs extra work. Then I'll shorten up my stride a little bit. I'll tuck my bum underneath and feel a nice little stretch in the front of my hip. And then I'll just go to the other side, rotate up, hamstring, hip flexor. I'm going to do 3 to 4 on each side. This is one I always include. It's a down backward rotation. So I'm going to get over this leg, rotating up and away, come back, rotating up and away, and then a big push right from this leg. So I don't want to come back with my body and then push up. I want to get here and push and really think about getting a good push. Then I just go back the other way, down, back, push up. Do 3 each way. You'll see the value in this one right away. We're going to get our hips moving in different planes, add a little bit of rotation. So I'll start with a lunge lateral, then I'll come back and I'll do a cross under lunge. Then I'll lunge lateral, I'll come out and I'll do a crossover lunge. And I'm trying to keep my pelvis pointing quite straight ahead. So I don't want to do a crossover lunge and turn my hips. I want that range of motion coming from in the hip joint as I go. And you'll notice I'm even sort of balancing a little bit in each position just to get that proprioception going. Now we'll get a little bit more dynamic or goalie specific, I guess you could say. We're going to do an inner, neutral, and outer range knee recovery lateral push. And it's not going to be the biggest push we can do. What I'm looking for is it quick and is it relatively seamless? When I say seamless, I mean, is it all in one motion rather than recover, push? I want it to just be recover, push. You can definitely think, hey, where would my glove and blocker be? I visualize, hey, where would the puck be going? Where would I be moving? So it's here and a push and come back. Then we're going to do a neutral. So that was inner range. I tried to get it up pretty close underneath me. Now I'm going to do a neutral range, which is sort of my comfortable pushing position. So here, push. And then I'm going to do an outer range. If you've never done this before, don't do it right before a game. Practice it and do take it a little slow because it's sort of a funny position. But I'm going to try to plant my foot out here to drive across. So here, push out. And I would just do one of those each way. And if you're delicate, like some of us, you can wear your knee pads when you do that. Next one is another agility drill from our feet. So it's just going to be a quick step lateral hop. Same thing. Where would my glove and blocker be? I'm doing quick, and then big push back. Quick, big push back. So I'm thinking about bracing with my abdominals lightly so that everything comes back. When I lead with my head and my hands, my hips come around behind. I'm making these movements quick and deliberate. So I'm visualizing this could be a shot, this could be a shot, boom, that could be a shot. So I'm getting there ready to make a save. It's not just like, dancing. And the last one we're going to do is a little alternate RVH balance, I call it. So it's just getting that single knee balance, switching from one side to the other, trying to make it pretty seamless to find your balance. And you'd hold each one for about 2 to 3 seconds and just do about 4 on each side. And there is your quick pre-skate warm-up that will help you not tweak your groin. We can't eliminate all injuries, but this will give you a better chance. And not only that, it'll get your energy system primed so that it's ready to go when you hit the ice. If you ever get on the ice and it feels like it takes you like 3 to 6 minutes to kind of get into the game, part of that can be that your energy system, your energy substrates aren't sort of mobilized and ready to fuel that effort. So this helps with that. Ideally, you will do it at the rink and then you'll go put on the rest of your gear and then hit the ice. I know that isn't always possible. It isn't possible for me because I play Sunday hockey with my husband, and my husband doesn't like to get to the rink so far early. And so